Hey guys, today we're going to talk all about how to make a recipe in MyFitnessPal. This will be extremely useful if you're cooking for your family or if you're meal prepping. It will break down everything you need to know for casseroles. Today I'm making meatloaf, things where you have a large quantity and you have to spoon out your own serving. So I'm gonna take you along the ride, doing this real time, making meatloaf for myself and my family, and let's get into it. Okay, so I want to show you what I got going on here. I've got all my ingredients laid out. I've got a pen and paper here, and then I've got, this is the bowl I'm going to be mixing everything in on my kitchen scale, and then I've got these two pans here for cooking. If you don't have a piece of paper and a pen handy, you can always use the Notes app in your phone, but I'm doing this for the sake of this video. Normally I would use the Notes app. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to weigh the bowl. I'm not sure if I'm gonna need that weight measurement, but I'm gonna get it just in case. I'm gonna weigh the bowl that I'm gonna be mixing everything in, and then I'm also gonna weigh one of these pans so I can know how much that weighs at the end. So we'll go ahead and weigh this out. Turn on your scale, and we're gonna weigh this bowl. So we've got 479 grams, so I'm just gonna write that here. And then take that off, we're back to 0, and now I'm gonna weigh one of these meatloaf pans. So that is 1,234 grams. And we've got two of those. Excuse my horrible handwriting. 1,234 grams, and then times 2. All right, so now, that's important to get those weights in the beginning just so you're not scrambling, or if you already put something in the pans at the end and just figuring out weights. So make sure that you go ahead and weigh all your bowls and pans first. All right, so I've got this silver bowl back on the scale. It's zeroed out, and then now I'm going to go one by one and add my ingredients into this bowl. So first I'm going to start with the venison. We're making venison meatloaf today. So I'm going to unwrap this and add this to the bowl, and I'm going to need the weight of the venison, so I'm going to leave the scale on. Okay, so I've got the ground venison in here, and it looks like we have 1,050 grams of this venison, so I'm going to go ahead and write that down here. And next I'm going to chop up my vegetables and get everything into this bowl, and I'll show you one by one how we measure and write out. Okay, so I've got my bell pepper chopped here, my scale timed out, so I'm just going to turn it back on, and then we're going to dump all these peppers in there. Got a couple left. Make sure we got all those in there. Looks like we have 165 grams of bell pepper, so I'm going to write that down right beneath the venison. Okay, now we'll do the same for the onion. And scale back on. And add that right in there. 192. So we'll write that in. Now I'm gonna crack 2 eggs in there, and not gonna weigh those, so I'm just gonna write 2 eggs. And on to the next step. Okay, got the eggs cracked in there. Now we're gonna add these breadcrumbs, and this part we're gonna do a little different because it has this nutrition label on there, and you can kind of see what a serving size is. I wanna add 3/4 of a cup, so I'm gonna do 3 servings because a serving is 1/4 of a cup. So I'm gonna do 28 times 3, and I'm gonna weigh that out, and then put that in there, and then write it down. Okay, so I'm gonna weigh out 84 grams of the breadcrumbs to put in the mixture. Just dump that right in. And we'll write that down here. Okay, so for the next part, I'm just gonna add these seasonings, Italian seasoning, paprika, parsley. I'm gonna do some minced garlic and some salt and pepper. And I'm not going to weigh these things out. They are so minuscule in the grand scheme of things, calories and nutrients and all that stuff, more just for flavor. So for ease and simplicity, I'm just going to add what I see fit and not worrying about weighing. So I'll do that and we'll be right back. Okay, so I've got my meatloaf in the pans and into the oven they will go. I did want to cover something really quickly. The last clip before adding the meatloafs into the oven, I was putting some seasonings and herbs and stuff on the meatloaf, and I said that I wasn't going to track those. If that was something like olive oil or avocado oil or butter or something like that, I would definitely be tracking that. Those things are obviously high in fats. You need to include that in your overall recipe, but just those specific spices and herbs that I was using to cook, the nutritional value and overall macronutrient density is just very, very minuscule. So just wanted to touch on that. Now, while that's cooking, I'm going to make a like a sauce glaze thing to go on top. So we'll do the same thing with that, and then we'll head over to MyFitnessPal and I'll show you how I put everything in. So for this, I'm just eyeballing it. I'm just weighing this out. We're gonna add ketchup, probably a little bit more. So 61 grams of ketchup. We'll zero this out. Add some mustard. 12 grams of mustard. Worcestershire sauce, Worcestershire, how do you say that? Worcestershire? I think so. Trouble. Okay. 9 grams of Worcestershire sauce, Worcestershire. And then we'll add in a little bit of brown sugar. So now we're going to use that list of ingredients and create a recipe in MyFitnessPal. So you're going to click the 3 dots in the bottom right hand corner where it says more, and then you'll scroll to My Meals, Recipes, and Foods. You're on recipes, so we're going to create a recipe and then enter ingredients manually. Title for this one specifically will be venison meatloaf. I already have one in here named this, so I'm just going to name it 2.0. Right now, in the servings, you're going to input 1, but we will come back to this, but just put 1 for now. Click the arrow, and we're going to add ingredients. So now we're just going to go down the list of ingredients that we had kept track of from when we were weighing and adding everything. You'll see in the bottom right-hand corner, you have scan. So you can scan some things that have barcodes, and I'm going to go ahead and do that with the breadcrumbs and the ketchup that I used. So add the breadcrumbs. So then if you remember, we did this 0.2 cups, or actually we weighed that out in grams. So we're going to go to 1 gram, check, and then we're going to put 84. And then confirm, add ingredients. Now we'll scan the ketchup. And we had 61 grams of ketchup. And right there I clicked on serving size where it said 1 tablespoon. I clicked on that and it brought up the selection tool. So I'm going to click 1 gram and change the number of servings to 61. Okay, so then I'm going to look in here for ground venison USDA grams. I'm going to click this one. Go to 1 gram, and then I'm going to log 1,050 grams because that was our number of servings. Add ingredient. We're going to do bell peppers, so we're going to do USDA bell pepper raw. Green bell pepper raw. We'll do 1 gram for the serving size, and then 165 was what we weighed out. Add ingredient, USDA yellow onion grams. Any of these look great. We'll go ahead and click the first one. Change the serving size to 1 gram, number of servings to 192. Now we're going to add 2 eggs, 1 large egg. That green check mark normally means that it's pretty, you can almost guarantee that that's going to be accurate. So the accurate nutrition information. So here, serving size, we won't adjust that. We're just going to put 2 for number of servings. And then we're going to add mustard. Really, mustard is pretty low in the calories and the gram scheme of things, but we're just going to add it just in case. We have some sodium that added in there, so that's nice to factor in. Now we're going to add the Worcestershire sauce. That's so spelled wrong. There we go. All right. Let's see here. A little trick is that milliliters and grams are the same weight, but one applies to fluids and liquids and one applies to like solids. So I'm just going to click 1 milliliter and then change that to 9. And then we're going to go organic brown sugar. 1 milliliter and then 15. All right, so that is what we're looking at as far as ingredients. That covers the meatloaf and the glaze that I created. So we're good for now. We're going to save it, and then we will come back when we pull the meatloaf out of the oven. Okay, so now the meatloaves are out of the oven. We're going to put them back on the scale. Let's turn it on here. We're going to weigh them each separately. So we'll put this first one. 2028. So meatloaf 1. Okay. Take this off. Back to 0. Weigh the other one. 2029. So we're going to look up here. We have to subtract the weights of the meatloaf pans. So we're going to add these together and then subtract what this number is. We'll be right back. Okay, so I added the 2 meatloaves together and got 4,057. This will be grams. And then I took the weight of the 2 meatloaf pans. So 1,234 times 2 is 2,468. So you take the meatloaf total minus the pan total and you get 1,589 grams. And that's how much actual meatloaf you have in those pans. So we're going to take this number, and that is going to be your number of servings that you put in as 1 was the placeholder. You're going to update that with 1,589. And so I'll show you how to do that now. Okay, so here you are in your recipes in MyFitnessPal. You're going to click on your recipe and click edit. And you're going to click the arrow in the top right. You're not going to adjust any of the ingredients. We're going to adjust the servings. So right here we have servings. We're going to change that to 1,589. That was the total number of the meatloaf minus the pans. So we're going to save it. Now to weigh out your specific serving, you're going to put the meatloaf pan back on the scale. You're going to zero it out, and you'll just scoop out your serving. Whatever that may be. Put it on your plate. and we've got negative 153 grams, 154 grams. So we're gonna log that as your serving in MyFitnessPal. So here we are back in the diary, and we're going to add food, and we're going to go to my recipes, and here you have the venison meatloaf, and we're going to adjust the number of servings to 153, and there you go. That serving of meatloaf had 24.7 grams of protein, 8.5 grams of fat, and 10.6 grams of carbs. And obviously, you can adjust that number of that 153, like your number of servings, to however much you want to eat or however much fits your macros.